That's a good question. What is a gentleman? There's not one answer to this question, but several. It depends if you speak from a historical point of view, if you speak from a dictionary point of view, or if you speak more from a modern, I would say even marketing. Let's go a little bit backwards in history, and let's go back before the French Revolution. We are in the 17th century, and a gentleman is coming from the French gentilhomme. Gentilhomme, in French, had a very, very precise meaning. A gentilhomme was a legitimate noble. That is to say, a noble that was noble by blood and by descendants, and not by decree of a king. Because, you know, the king had the right to say to somebody, because of your good action or because of your good service to the crown, I make you a duke, or I make you a noble. A person who were given the title, a noble title by the king, was not even allowed to use the word gentilhomme, gentleman. It was only people that were noble by blood. But the funny thing about that is that his offsprings, if he had daughters and sons, they were able to catch and to be granted the term gentilhomme. So it's a little bit awkward, but that's the historical explanation. So many people ask me, why you're a French style writer, why do you use in your title an English word like gentleman, Parisian gentleman? Just because if I would have translated this in French like le gentilhomme parisien, it would have no meaning, because the word gentilhomme is totally dead. It's not used anymore, because I remind you that we did the French Revolution in 1798, and since that time, the word gentilhomme has totally disappeared. Then you have the dictionary definition. The French dictionary describes a gentleman as a person with a certain elegance, a delicate person in his manners, in his attitude, in his way of behaving with others, but also in the generosity of his attitude. So this is a definition that I like, because it's something that is very at the heart of what we try to focus on Paris the Gentleman, what we try to promote. This is a global attitude, and this generosity, this kindness, this ability of having the right gesture, the right answer, the right attitude, no matter the occasion, is for me the key definition. But the problem is, when the blogosphere, when the people like me and a few others on the planet, we use this word to requalify the people who wanted to dress well, who wanted to be careful about their own style, who wanted to, you know, step out of the crowd by coming back to some basic elegance, wearing a tie, a pocket square, a three-piece suit, being interested in the bespoke world. So this word has been caught by many companies, and now everybody is speaking about the return of the gentleman, or the modern gentleman, or unleash the gentleman that is sleeping inside yourself, etc., etc. And in my opinion, there's something that is wrong about this overuse of the word. You know that when we use a word too much, it has a tendency of emptying itself of its meaning. And so now many people just understand the word gentleman as somebody who is dressing well. But it's not the case. Let's take an example. You can have the best dressed man in the world. You can have people who are wearing expensive clothes, beautifully cut. But if these people behave like uneducated people, behave like selfish people, behave like even tacky people, the definition of the gentleman is immediately wrong for these kind of people. So the modern sense of the word is, in my opinion, a little bit misused and totally has been going away from its real roots. I don't say that I am a gentleman. By definition, you don't self-qualify yourself a gentleman. This is what people say about your attitude, your actions, your way of behaving. there's a quote that I really like, which explains the whole subject. It says, being a boy is a matter of chance. Well, you could have been a girl. Being a man is a matter of age. But being a gentleman is a matter of choice. You choose to be a gentleman. You choose to be at your best, but it's an attitude. For me, a gentleman is somebody who has one ability and one capacity, and I would say even one amazing skill, is to put every person he is interacting with at ease. And this is, for me, the very, very basis of what a gentleman is. I will give you a few examples of what is a gentleman for me, and I will take real examples of people. This example comes from my dear friend James Sherwood, that many of you knows because he was the writer of Savile Row, the book on British tailoring, and he's a good friend of mine. One time he said to me, for me, the epitome of elegance is Hubert de Givenchy. Hubert de Givenchy was the boyfriend of Audrey Hepburn, which is very famous in the US and around the world. And there's one very precise picture of those two walking in Paris by the Seine River. It's a beautiful picture. Of course, Hubert de Givenchy was tremendously elegant in his attitude, but he's not dressed to show himself. He is extremely discreet, and the focus is on Audrey Hepburn. So it means that a gentleman, when he acts in the right way, will do his best to put the attention on others and not on himself. It's the same when somebody, which is a gentleman, even if he's dressed like a king, enter a room, he will immediately make sure that the attention is not only on himself. And when I say that, I just tackle something which is very, very totally misunderstood in this world, because now we have the impression that people are dressing well and overdress sometimes because they want to impress, because they want to attract attention, because they want to have the light on them. And that's exactly the reverse of how a gentleman should act, in my opinion. You know, this kind of words, we are afraid almost to use kindness. In France, we say gentil. When you say gentil, it means almost weak, you know, for the people. We live in a world where you have to be strong, you have to have performance, you have to be faster than anybody. But kindness is an amazing asset. Look at Fred Astaire, for example. Fred Astaire is a very interesting example. Fred Astaire, of course, he was an amazing dancer. Of course, he was, this guy was not dancing, he was literally flying. But this man is, in my opinion, one of the most elegant men of all times. Fred Astaire was extremely short. He was a very short man. But the way he was dressing, the way he was behaving with his partners, the way he was even interacting with people was extremely gracious and extremely humble. Another example is coming to my mind. When you have a formal event, all the gentlemen are asked to wear a black tie. The idea behind a black tie is very simple, is that every gentleman should look the same. Everybody's dressing the same. Same kind of suit, same kind of shirt, same kind of bow tie, same kind of shoes. And what's the idea behind? It's precisely to be a gentleman, because the only reason why these gentlemen were asked to dress all the same was to make their wife shine. Of course you have to be at your best, but for only one goal, is to make your spouse shine, because women are the stars of such events.